Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of King Henry VIII of England, is a figure whose life was marked by rapid ascension and tragic downfall. Born around 1523, she was part of the influential Howard family, a branch of the English nobility that played a significant role in the Tudor court. Despite her noble lineage, Catherine's early life was not one of privilege, and her brief tenure as queen ended in scandal and execution. Early life and family background. Catherine Howard was born into the Howard family, one of England's most powerful and prestigious noble families. Her father, Lord Edmund Howard, was the younger brother of Thomas Howard, the 3rd Duke of Norfolk, one of the most prominent nobles in England. Catherine's mother, Jocasta Joyce Culpeper, came from a distinguished family herself. Despite this noble heritage, the Howard family was not wealthy. Lord Edmund Howard struggled financially, and Catherine's childhood was not as privileged as one might expect for a member of such a powerful family. Catherine's mother died when she was quite young, and she was sent to live with her step-grandmother, Agnes Tilney, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk, in Lambeth. The household was large, and the supervision of young girls like Catherine was often lax. The Dowager Duchess's household was known for its lack of discipline, and Catherine grew up in an environment that allowed her a certain degree of freedom. Early relationships and scandals. Catherine's life at Lambeth was marked by a series of relationships that would later come back to haunt her. As a young teenager, she was involved with her music teacher, Henry Manox. While their relationship may not have been fully consummated, it was certainly inappropriate. Manox was older and in a position of authority, and the relationship was considered scandalous. Following her involvement with Manox, Catherine entered into a more serious relationship with Francis Dereham, a man who was also a member of the Dowager Duchess's household. This relationship was likely sexual, and the two may have even referred to each other as husband and wife, suggesting a pre-contract or betrothal, which in the eyes of the Church could have been seen as a binding engagement. Such a pre-contract was significant because, in the eyes of the law, it could render any subsequent marriage null and void. When Catherine's uncle, the Duke of Norfolk, saw an opportunity to place her at court, she was sent to serve as a lady-in-waiting to Anne of Cleves, Henry VIII's fourth wife. It was in this position that she caught the eye of the king. Rise to power as queen. Henry VIII was immediately infatuated with the young and attractive Catherine. By this time, Henry was in his late 40s, obese, and suffering from numerous health issues, including a painful ulcer on his leg. Catherine, by contrast, was youthful and lively, and she brought a sense of excitement back into the aging king's life. Henry quickly sought to annul his marriage to Anne of Cleves, which he found personally unsatisfactory, citing her lack of beauty and failure to inspire him. The marriage was annulled on July 9, 1540, and just a few weeks later, on July 28, 1540, Henry married Catherine Howard. As queen, Catherine enjoyed all the luxuries and privileges of her position. However, her role was primarily ceremonial. She had little political influence and no significant interest in the affairs of state. Her primary function was to please the king, which she did effectively for a time. Henry lavished gifts upon her, and she was often seen adorned in jewels and fine clothes, symbols of her elevated status. The downfall. Catherine's past, however, was not as easily left behind as she might have hoped. While she was queen, rumors about her previous relationships began to circulate. Her former lover, Francis Dereham, secured a position in her household, a move that raised eyebrows and drew attention to her past indiscretions. Moreover, Catherine began an affair with Thomas Culpeper, a gentleman of the king's privy chamber and a man Henry favored. This affair was particularly dangerous because it occurred while she was queen, making it an act of treason. The situation became untenable when John Lascelles, a Protestant reformer, informed Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury, about Catherine's past and her ongoing affair with Culpeper. Lascelles had heard about Catherine's indiscretions from his sister, Mary Lascelles Hall, who had served in the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk's household. Cranmer was initially hesitant to believe the accusations but recognized the severity of the situation. He informed Henry VIII through a letter, left for the king to read in private, given the delicate nature of the content. Henry was devastated by the news. He had genuinely believed in Catherine's virtue and was heartbroken to learn of her infidelity. An investigation was launched, and evidence of Catherine's past with Manox and Derham, as well as her current affair with Culpeper, was uncovered. Under interrogation, both Derham and Culpeper admitted to their relationships with Catherine, though Culpeper insisted that his affair with the Queen had not been fully consummated. Arrest, trial, and execution. Catherine was arrested in November 1541 and confined to her apartments at Hampton Court Palace. She was stripped of her title as queen, and an intense investigation followed. Her pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears. Henry, who had once adored her, now saw her as a traitor who had sullied his honor. The investigation extended to her family, many of whom were also arrested and interrogated. On December 10, 1541, Francis Derham and Thomas Culpeper were executed for their roles in the scandal. Culpeper was beheaded, while Derham suffered the gruesome punishment of being hanged, drawn, and quartered. Catherine, still just a teenager, was held at the Tower of London. On February 10, 1542, a bill of attainder was passed against her, which meant she could be executed without a formal trial. On February 13, 1542, Catherine was led to the scaffold at the Tower of London. According to reports, she was composed and asked for the execution block to be brought to her so that she could practice placing her head on it, determined to meet her fate with dignity. Her final words were said to express her guilt and remorse for her actions. She was beheaded with a single stroke of the executioner's axe and buried in an unmarked grave in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, within the tower. Legacy. Catherine Howard's legacy is one of caution. Her story is often cited as a tragic tale of youthful indiscretion, naivety, and the perils of life at the Tudor court. Unlike Henry's other queens, Catherine left no lasting impact on English history beyond her tragic end. She was a young woman who was thrust into a role she was ill-prepared for and paid the ultimate price for her perceived failings. Catherine's life has been the subject of much historical debate. Some view her as a victim of her family's ambitions and the king's desires, while others see her as a foolish girl who was the architect of her own downfall. In any case, her story serves as a poignant reminder of the dangers that women, particularly young women, faced in the treacherous environment of the Tudor court. Catherine Howard's life was short and her reign as queen even shorter, but her story continues to captivate historians and the public alike. She remains one of the most tragic figures of the Tudor era, her life a stark contrast to the power and majesty often associated with the queenship. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel.